Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dower here with another Options to Play video update. So, first off, I want to thank you guys that stuck around yesterday for our option session. Great to have, great to have the forum every couple weeks where we can just really talk shop, state of the market, talk trades, what we're looking at, and even more so this time around because it like our the way it fell is basically right at the start of earnings season. So we spent some time just going over some of my or one of my favorite option strategies. Like what I call like my bread and butter setup. And I just thought it was like a great opportunity because of when we were able to meet, right? And the fact that earnings season is just getting going, so there's gonna be a ton of names coming up. So just I always enjoy like the sessions every couple of weeks, but especially when it's gonna be really busy very soon. I just thought just absolutely perfect timing for that. So again, thanks for all of you guys that stuck around. Um, if you did miss it, you can check that out. It's on T3's website, so under the option plays tab. So definitely check that out. All right. So what I want to talk about today, obviously, is Netflix. Right. I mean, it's the one everybody wants to know about. It's the one everybody's focused on this week. Obviously, there are other names, some other really big names, actually, names that actually are more significant market cap wise than Netflix. But you know, at the end of the day, Netflix is the one that people care about, right? And it's kind of an interesting print for a couple of reasons. Okay, so first off, just recent, like I guess in order of recency, you had just the last couple of days, kind of like a wild move, right? So it got hit on the Disney streaming launch, right? When Disney had their investor day last week, Netflix had a couple tough down days off of that, and then it snapped right back to almost erase all of those losses. So a couple days down and one day right back up. So today being the day of earnings, so it's kind of up quite a bit going into the print. But what's interesting is that Netflix really, if you back out the first 2 weeks of 2019, even like the first week and a half, I mean, really, the stock has not done much of anything. This has been about as tight of a consolidation. So this is something we broke down a little bit more in depth last night, and what I mentioned was like this is probably the quietest couple month stretch on Netflix. You got to go all the way back to the end of 2017, right? I mean, it's very unusual for Netflix to be this sideways for this long. And yes, that means that there's a lot of indecision, right? But that also means, the way I look at it, it means that it's a coiling spring. I mean, like this stock, the longer it stays range bound, the better the move eventually is going to be once it finally gets out of the range, right? I don't necessarily know if that's up or down, and my feeling is that the up or downs we're going to be, we're going to figure that out depending on how these earnings go, right? Um, but just a long consolidation on a stock like Netflix, right, with the market grinding higher each day, FANG stock starting to wake up. It seems that this is just a coiling spring, and then you have this monster catalyst this week that if it moves the price in amount, which is about 25 points, 25, 26, right, that would either put it through the top of resistance, the range resistance, right, or through the bottom, right, through under 340 through 380. And in either case, I mean, a coiling spring, a stock that hasn't moved anywhere in 2 to 3 months, you could be looking at a pretty significant move, right? So, in terms of targets, right? So what I like what I like to do is kind of focus on technical levels, right? So I talked about the earnings combo trade, right? Like that's my bread and butter setup. So that's what I went over. But just in general, like the way like these earnings trades work, or I feel like the ones that work better than the ones that don't, are when you focus on stocks that have interesting technical levels within the priced in band, right? So Netflix is priced in 25 to 26. You walk off So you walk off 25 to 26 either way, right? And what do you got? Well, you have a, a break of the recent range and then a breakout, right? And then what's above 385? Well, you have a really well-defined gap up to 400 from July earnings last quarter, right? So that right there would be about a $40 move, right? So when I was talking about this last night, it was about 50, but Netflix is having a nice day today. So you have like about a $40 move to close the gap, and then what's above that? Then you have really only one key area of interest, and that's at 420. That's the 52-week all-time high. Now on the downside, it's a little bit less well defined, but still plenty of potential, right? I mean, if it loses the range low that basically coincides with the 200-day, then you have an air pocket down to 325, which is about 40 points, right? And then underneath that, you have a gap you have a gap from basically like those first few sessions of the new year. So you have a gap down to 300 from right here, right? If it gets under 325, then you could have like a move down to 300 into this range right here, right? Because you have a gap, and then if it's really bad, which I think this is probably a stretch, then you have like even more gaps, and then like the December low comes to play. So like I think that's more of a stretch, but I mean, is it can you possibly see like a $40 to $50 move? Yeah, like there's visibility. If it takes out a couple of these levels, momentum builds, right? If it's really particularly bad, then you got a move down to the 100-day and then a potential gap down to 300. So when I was talking about this in the coaching session last night, it was about $50 either way. Today's 10 point move has kind of changed that a little bit, but still, you look at it, it's pricing in 25 to 26, right? But it's basically gone nowhere for the last couple months, so it's in a really tight range with some really key technical levels close at hand, and it has a history of large moves. So yes, it's interesting because everybody has an opinion on Netflix, but it's also interesting because it's just like a kind of one of those setups where you could possibly see some fireworks, right? So like the way I approach these FANG names is that I kind of look at them on their own. I'm not just going to trade all of them just because they're FANG names. Like the setup still has to be worth it. And Netflix actually, to me, seems like an interesting setup. And if this wasn't Netflix, it was just like a stock on its own. Like this would probably be one I'd be entertaining as a trade, just because interesting levels, options aren't too bad, has a history of moving, right? Nice little combination of things that indicate that this could be a pretty significant move. So take a look. Let me know what you think. All right. These numbers are expected right after the bell. Kind of come out like piecemeal because they're released on the investor website. So you kind of get one move and then another move on top of that. So definitely going to be one of the more interesting names after the close. I mean, there are some other ones that should move. IBM, right? IBM, some chip stocks. So plenty of action coming up, and it's only going to get busier. So lots to look forward to. As always, if you have any questions or comments about this trade, about any other trade, maybe about something that we covered last night or didn't cover, definitely reach out, all right? I'd love to hear from you guys. So have a great night. Best of luck if you're playing anything, and I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.